Welcome back. Welcome to another edition of uh, Bilingualism 101 with Dr. Varghese, Matthew Varghese. Last lecture, I discussed about what is bilingual brain and how it is formed in our brain. And bilingual brain, as per the studies shows, that it is a property of being human. Almost everyone have the bilingual ability. But unfortunately, in my earlier lecture, I described why the bilingual education become strained or difficult. Why it shifted from uh, being a language education to some kind of scientific uh, scientific uh, application of certain theories. And one theory is that you think using your mother tongue, and the mother tongue is the center of your thinking process. So normally people accept this view that mother tongue is the the way we normally use for our thinking process. I have disputed this theory based on the philosophy of languages, and all the philosophy of language from uh, ancient time till modern time accept the view that humans have a central language. The entire humanity use one language to think, and which is very simple way of saying it is the mentalist or mind language. Uh, Unfortunately, that concept has now shifted, especially during 17th, 18th century, uh, when the language education was mainly focused on the generating the grammatical skills in a language. And that happened when Port Royal Abbey introduced their own method, original method to teach Latin and Greek and Hebrew uh, using French, English, or German, or Italian, or Spanish, all these European languages. And they developed a method of teaching grammar through own mother tongue. And then later they found that it is easy for a monk who is from France can learn the grammatical properties of Greek or classical Greek or Hebrew or uh, Latin using their mother tongue. And that is applied widely in the world where English is taught as, or any language is taught. They use the mother tongue medium to explain the grammatical properties. Unfortunately, like scholars like David Reed says that the the difficulty is that the student may not be knowing the grammatical properties of their own mother tongue. You know? They may not know what is uh, noun or adjective or verb or adverb or preposition or postposition. All these things they may not know. And these are all very difficult Latin terms, which is very difficult to digest. But the use of these words is easily practically possible. And so when a student learn a new language, he has to develop the bilingual skill in the skill to learn the language using the same language. This method, some people call it immersion method, where the student only using the learning language. In the case of English, it is. They don't use their mother tongue, Spanish or Japanese or Hindi or Tamil or languages like this. They use the English language, English phrases. And this method actually works mostly. So when we are teaching in to a new student, we need to approach it systematically. We cannot use experimented technique. There are so many, hundreds and thousands. But what is the logic behind it? This is what very importantly we have to understand. A child of 5 or 6 years can speak more than one language easily. And when he or she speak more than one language, he use a method. And that method is very original. And we have to understand what that method is. Because the child automatically able to segregate the grammatical properties of two languages like Japanese and English in a very young age, and he or she could understand and communicate without even knowing what is a noun, what is a verb, what is an adjective, all these things. They communicate. So this is what Chomsky says is an inherent ability that we have for learning and using a language. So how to activate this inherent ability? So as we have, maybe we can say that the best method to activate this inherent ability is to make the student think in the new language, like in the case of English, it is English, like the way he or she may think in Japanese or Chinese or Russian or Hindi or Tamil, all these languages which they have habituated as a process of learning is using the thinking process, and some scholars think that this process is so organic, so easy, that a child of 5 or 6 years be able to switch between two divergent languages. For example, the grammatical properties of Japanese is so different from the grammatical properties of the structuring properties of English. The syntax of English and syntax of Japanese are different. If we try to align the sentences in a classroom situation and teach them how the syntax is formed, it is well and good if the student have sufficient ability to understand those things. But what is important is that the student has to learn to think subtly, like a child I was describing in my book, a child I know, Sakura-chan, who could speak 5 languages easily, fluently, when she was not able to calculate 1 plus 1 or all these simple normal simple things that we also learn as a part of living life. So she cannot do any of those, but she could speak 5 languages. This ability she developed because of that inner vitality that she has from the mentalists. So this is what I argue in the book, there is a vitality in our system, in our brain, that is activated for imbibing languages. But when we learn this as theories, like, for example, how to structure a sentence in, and the present tense and past tense and past perfect, all these difficult grammatical terms we learn, we impose into the child's mind, and then we try to educate them. Actually, they learn this as a procedure, not an organic language. It was a procedure, a systematic procedure, like a mathematical equation, which is widely happening around the world in language education situations. So how can we change it? How can we bring the mind of baby Sakura into a classroom situation? I was describing about it again and again in this talk. So that is what I described in the book. The book actually have a section, or the book itself is named as the English Bilingual Project. And the English Bilingual Project is basically inculcating this ability to think in a new language. In the case of English, it is the ability to think in that language has to be trained in a particular way. It is not like giving random training, but in a systematic way, so that the student can pick up the logical process that happens in the mind of a 5-year-old child who learn many languages for communication. So in the coming lectures, I will explain what happened when we teach the structure of a language without referring back to the mother tongue. Okay, he or she can refer back to the original thought, but we should not actually refer back to the mother tongue. So one should learn to discard the influence of mother tongue while learning to use the language, which means that he has to think in the language as the way a child learns to think in a new language. So we have to bring the child's mind into our system, like a student's mind. And when we bring the child's mind into the system, easily the language flourishes in the mind. So it is very important to understand this is also a scientific method. When we try to develop the thinking in the language skills, we have to bring up the child's mind and inculcate the process of learning and articulating and learning and articulating and learning and articulating in a systematic way. Okay? So next few classes, in few lectures, I will how maybe it is in 2 or 3 divisions. I will explain how one can develop this skill very quickly, very easily. And once you develop the skill in your mind and practice regularly, so the very important is about a language is to learn to articulate the language in the brain, and then that articulation is not following the scientific method of learning something, like, for example, a scientific theory. or an equation, physical, physical equation or a mathematical equation or like that. That is not the exact process that's happening. We have to develop that logical process very similar to what a computer programmer learn the logic and also the syntax. The syntax is very, very important, how you arrange the words and phrases together to formulate to sentences. And this arrangement of words and phrases together has to be developed. It cannot be taught. It has to be developed. We are doing all this when we give classwork, essays, and all these things. We are actually doing that, but without knowing that the logical process behind developing such a skill. So if you find this talk useful, please share it with your friends. We have to enlarge the community of language learners, and especially in a situation like today. I hope if you get the logic of what I am saying, learning language is not going to be very difficult. Anyway, there are so many YouTubers and teachers and philosophers, trainers and linguists are working on this. So you may find my method different from some others. Maybe it looks somewhat similar, but I have systematically developed this method in this book. So you can maybe buy this book and follow it better if you try to follow my lecture in the right perspective. So I stop here. Please share this video with your friends and your whatever, with your compatriots or colleagues or other students or somebody who is working on this the field of language. And today I switch over to Japanese. So 今日の話はバイリングルについて、この前話したバイリングルブレインのこと一番大事なことですね。これどうしてと言ったら、私たち新しい言葉、特別英語とか学ぶとき、私たちの脳を分かれて、二つになる。日本語の方、英語の方。それから英語を使うとき、英語のところから、単語とか、文節とか選んで文章を作る。そうこのプロセスは私たち特別な練習で受かってこないなら、言葉を学ぶというのことは、いつも自分の国語から英語に訳することになる。これやるというのは頭の中苦しみもらうことですね。どうせと言ったら、5歳のさくらちゃん、私言ったこの前のレクチャーに言った5歳のさくらちゃん、5つ言葉ぐらい話できるというのは、これ普通の科目勉強するときやることじゃない。これは特別の勉強ですね。普通の科目というのは私たちいっぱいデータ入れてやり方分かって、これをもっと 使うのことですね。でも、言葉というのは私たちの力です。あの力、みんなの心の中ある。今の研究で見つかったことは、私たち、いっぱい言葉、5つの言葉を学ぶときも、バイリングになってから、この言葉を学ぶようになる。このバイリングになるというのは、一番、バイリングになるというのは一番大事なことですね。最初、私たちこれ、勉強で学ばないでできない。これを、どうやってやるというようなことを私、来週から、次の、講義から教えてあげる。ね。これ、私たち最初からちゃんとやってみたら、これ、あ簡単にああできる。これを、どうやってやるというようなこと、また学んでみよう。それで、今日、この話を、口で終えるようにして、ああ次の、講義の時から、これどうやってやるというような話、もっと教えてあげる。そう、これ、あなたたちの友達とか、仲間の中、これ、ちょっと増やして、あ私たちのこのバイリングルコミュニティをもっと広くして、やったら、いっぱい人たちに助けると思ってる。今、どうするかわからないで、いっぱい人たち困ってるので、ああの、英語の教育は、今も良くならないように、世界中でいる、これ。これで、今日の話を終わる。See you next week. We will talk another topic. Bye for now. Bye.